Hello, hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? That was pretty sad. How's everybody doing? All right, that's better. I forgot to wish you happy May the 4th be with you day yesterday. So happy belated May the 4th be with you day and happy Cinco de Mayo today. We're so happy you're with us here on the third and final day of the show. On behalf of all of us at Event Marketer, thank you for joining us once again for our 15th annual Experiential Marketing Summit. I wondered if I could get one more round of applause for all of our sponsors and exhibitors who've been here to support us this year. Thank you. Many of whom have been with us for the past 15 years. Couple quick announcements before we move on to our last, but certainly not least, our fourth and final keynote of the show. You can mark your calendars for May 14th through the 16th, 2018. That's where we'll be back together again for the 16th Annual Experiential Marketing Summit in San Francisco. Event Tech takes place this November in Las Vegas, November 13th through the 15th. And if you have a group of colleagues at home that could not make it with you here today, we are rolling out a group of experiential marketing training camps this June for a couple weeks at the end of June. I will be at all of those. And you can go to eventmarketer.com/training camp to get more details on where we'll be and what we'll be up to. So our keynote speaker this afternoon has a heck of a marketing challenge. As the maker of the world's most prolific and popular creativity software, among many other things, it not only needs to constantly improve and reinvent its products to keep at the cutting edge of technology and creativity, it has to market itself to the designers, the photographers, the artists, the filmmakers, and all of the trendsetters who use its products to shape the world and the culture around us. It is a tough audience, to be sure, but Adobe is up for the challenge, proving that live engagements and a spirit of collaboration can create lifelong brand loyalists. Here to take you inside Adobe's experience-driven marketing practice is the Vice President of Experience Marketing. Please help me welcome to the stage my new friend, Alex Amado.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Electric word, life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The afterword. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun, day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one, doctor, everything will be alright. Instead of asking how much of your time is left, ask him how much of your mind, baby. Cause in this life, things are much harder than in the afterworld. This life, you're on your own. And if the elevator tries to break you down, go crazy, punch a higher floor. Come on, baby, let's get down. Yeah. Let's go crazy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind intro, Jessica, and thank you for sharing some time with me today. I thought what I would spend our time with you today, I thought what we would do, I know you've had 2 days of all kinds of new ideas and innovation and hopefully some inspiration around ways to make and deliver fantastic experiences to all of your customers. And what I thought I would bring is just some thoughts and approaches that we use at Adobe We like to try and do things a little bit differently, and so hopefully some of these ideas will be relevant and resonate with you guys. And for us at Adobe, it all starts with our mission statement. This is our mission statement at Adobe, changing the world through digital experiences, and it's been our mission statement for almost 10 years now. And I've been with Adobe longer than that, and I remember when we were kind of bringing on board and getting behind this mission statement, and at the time it seemed a little ambitious, maybe a little far-fetched. But one of the things that's been really delightful is that this objective of ours seems more relevant every single day. Every year that goes by, we're finding more ways that it becomes critically important for businesses to change and transform their experiences, whether they're physical or digital. At Adobe, we see ourselves as being at the intersection of content and data. We're always moving forward the state of the art of content and how it's created and what you can do with it and how it's distributed. And we're also helping customers harness their data in order to deliver experiences that are personalized and relevant and timely and optimized. And at the heart of these two, it really allows us to drive transformation for customers across the globe in the way that they engage with their own customers. We know a little bit about transforming a business because it's something that we've done. We have been transforming Adobe for the better part of a decade. About 7 years ago, we undertook a big mission at Adobe. We took our core creative business, the business of selling software like Photoshop and Illustrator and Adobe Premiere Pro, and we took that business that used to be selling CDs and boxes through two-tier global distribution and a massive supply chain, and we turned that into a complete subscription model. Everything available digitally, you're now in a subscription relationship, and tens of millions of customers are using this every day. And then we've been able to add more value-add services like Adobe Stock for stock imagery and photography and video and things like that. And around the same time, we had also launched a brand new business inside of Adobe, the business of digital marketing. It started with the acquisition of a company called Omniture that was a leader in digital analytics and optimization and testing, one of the first big data companies. And that was the core of what is now the Adobe Experience Cloud. And we have built on that core both organically and through acquisitions of great companies like Day Software and Demdex and Auditude and Livefire, most recently TubeMogul. We're now in the business of ad tech, which is really fun. And we've spent a lot of time and energy building and bringing these technologies together to deliver what we think is the best software for transforming customer experiences. But as we went through this process, something we realized is that everything has to change. It's not just a product change that happens if you want to transform a business. It's not just a business model change. We've completely changed the way that we operate across every aspect of the company. Every function, every process. Product has clearly changed, and we're now delivering on different kinds of timelines and different kinds of engineering practices and engaging with customers in different ways. But finance has had to change. We have different kinds of revenue streams now. IT has had to change for the challenges of delivering an always-on service with incredibly high availability and massive asset and data storage. 92 trillion transactions we measure through our software. It's absolutely incredible. And marketing has had to change. And the way that we engage with our customers and deliver great experiences to them is really different now from how it used to be. And I'll be the first one to say, we've come a long way on this transformation, but we still have miles and miles to go. We're in the middle of a journey, not at the end of a journey. So what I wanted to do today was share some of the thoughts and observations about what we've learned so far as we've gone through this. And this has been our key kind of mission, our key guiding principle in marketing. And when you're going through a big business change, it's very easy to lose track and lose sight of what's really important at the end of the day. A lot of companies in transition try and be everything to everyone, and you end up not accomplishing any of that. Adobe has always been about great experiences, and This is something that we use as a kind of North Star for the way we think about delivering marketing to our customers. So my job at Adobe is to lead the experience marketing team, and we define experience marketing a little differently than other companies. It's much broader because experience is so critical to everything we do in the marketing at Adobe. So events is obviously a big piece of what we focus on, and I'm going to talk about some of those. But we also have the design studio. So we produce all of the kind of brand touch points that go out into the world, everywhere you see Adobe marketing, advertising, email, on the web, all over the place. That's something that fits into experience marketing for us. If you think about the media, the advertising and search and email that connects our customers with those great experiences, we're responsible for that because that's part of delivering a great experience, making sure that it's relevant and it's getting to the right person in the right time, in the right context. We also run Adobe.com, large pieces of Adobe.com, which is, a 1.5 million page website across 61 languages. But that's an always-on presence for our customers, and they expect to be able to go there and find information and experiences that reflect what Adobe is trying to communicate out and share into the world. So experiences for us are really bringing all of those things together. And what I wanted to do was show you for a moment the kind and sort of scope and style of marketing that we get to do at Adobe. It's very diverse from B2B to B2C. We do all kinds of things. And then I will share with you some of the behind the scenes about what makes that happen.
Thomas says, stay home, get away from me, saying I was bad for you. He got his way. I'm gone for good. Making up stories, keeping it secret, taking your word for truth. You were bad for me, so I'm gone for good. I did all I could, so kiss this one more time, 'cause I'm gone for good. Did all I could, so kiss this one more time, one more time. Did all I could, so kiss this one more time, 'cause I'm gone for good. You misunderstood, so kiss this one last time, and I'm gone for good. Can't get it off.
So, thank you. That's some of the stuff that we get to play with every day. It is the most fun ever. This is a really, really cool job. We're all about delivering amazing experiences, and as I was thinking about sort of how we accomplish that and what we focus on, I kind of boiled it down to 5 sort of pillars that are true of almost everything that we do. And that was what I wanted to walk you through and share with you today. Not surprising for Adobe, the first pillar is design. Design everything. There is no experience or interaction that is not worthy of applying design thinking. The second is embracing your community. Your audience, your customer is a huge asset. How do you bring them on board and make them part of the story? The third is you have to believe that engagement is everything and that that's the yardstick by which you're going to measure your success. The fourth is to embrace data. Without data, you can't hear how your customers are responding to what you're putting out in the world, and you will never know how good your experiences are. And the fourth is examine your culture. Take a look at how you drive every aspect of your culture, and is it really working for the kinds of experiences you want to deliver? So I'm going to expand on each of these. And design is really at the heart of every great experience. It all starts with design. If your experience isn't easy to understand, visually compelling, appealing, you're nowhere. Design is part of our heritages. Our founders, Chuck and John, built the company originally trying to solve some complicated design challenges with technology 35 years ago. And in the ensuing 35 years, we haven't stopped identifying design challenges that we want to solve by giving you technology and capabilities to do it. We are now the market leader in design and creativity tools, which is wonderful. We have some of the best known and kind of most cutting edge products like Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator and Premiere Pro and InDesign, and some new products like Adobe Experience Design for interactive design, screen design, interactive prototyping. But design is hot beyond just the field. Everybody's talking about design, design in business, design thinking across every discipline. And that's the way we approach all of our experiences at Adobe. So I'll talk about one of our big events. We have a number of big kind of tentpole events every year, and the first of them is MAX, which we call the Creativity Conference, Adobe MAX. Every fall for over a decade now, we get together 12,000 of our closest friends, and we celebrate design and creativity. But about 5 years ago, we had sort of a revelation. We used to run this show, and it was very much about Adobe. And we would tell you about Adobe, and people would show up, and we would talk about all the neat things we were doing, and it would be really about us broadcasting. It was sort of an inside-out way to approach this event. And it was about 5 years ago that we realized that that's not the right way to design a great experience. We recognized that we weren't really running an event. We were designing a series of experiences for our audience. So we flipped the show on its head. We turned the whole thing around. We took our 2 keynotes, which had all been about Adobe, and we made them all about the users. We made them all about the audience. So day one still involves a lot of technology, but it's really kind of a call and response with regard to what is our audience, what have our customers been asking us to solve? What design problems have they wanted to solve, and how are we going to solve them? Some of it's new, some of it's old, some of it's not even released yet. How do we give benefit to the users who operate in our technology spaces every day? And then the second day isn't about Adobe at all. It is about the community. And we invite amazing people to come up and tell their creative stories. And they may not even talk about technology at all. They may talk about inspiration or craft or process or how they got started. And we've had an incredible array of people of all types telling wonderful stories. Brandon Stanton, Humans of New York, amazing photojournalist. We had, this year, we had Lindsay Addario, who's a war photographer and correspondent with amazing images that are visceral and incredibly powerful, and stories that are absolutely alarming but moving. Fashion designer Zach Posen came to talk with us. Director Quentin Tino came to talk with our audiences. So we've had great and interesting people, and that is a really fun part of how we put this together. And we think that it's actually a step in the right direction, because the size and scope of the show has actually about doubled in the 5 years since we've kind of turned this around. But great guests aren't enough. We need to create experiences both on stage and off. So I mentioned Zach Posen. Zach came and was interviewed and talked about his origins as a young and struggling fashion designer. He talked about his creative and collaborative process. He talked about his love of merging the worlds of high fashion and technology and all the things that he wants to do. But that is sort of a one-way conversation, and it's interesting. But what we actually had Zach do was we had him bring on stage the dress that he designed for Claire Danes for the Met Gala the previous year. We wanted to bring the experience to our audience of seeing that beautiful flowing garment, and then the lights dim and the entire thing comes to life because it's been laced with LED lights, entirely woven through the fabric. This is part of his vision for bringing technology and fashion together. And really, how can you even understand what that means if you can't see it in action and see the way it moves and see the experience that it delivers? We created 4 virtual reality worlds that our audience could walk through with headsets and the whole deal. Custom designed Adobe worlds where you could paint in 3D and sculpt. You could look over a futuristic cityscape. You could interact with a virtual reality elk with the horns. It was a little weird, actually, in retrospect, but it seemed like a really good idea at the time. But it was an experience, and it was memorable. And we also want to get people out of the auditorium, want to get them off creating. Our audience is an audience of makers and crafters and doers and builders. And so it's imperative to us to let them do what they want to do. So we have drawing stations and photography stations and the opportunity to create everything from custom ceramic tiles to posters to designing a skate deck to graffitiing a surfboard, if you want. Let me give you one example of our sort of onstage, offstage connection here. We had sculptor Janet Eichelman come, and she's best known for her giant aerial sort of net-like structures. And there's one of these hanging in the San Francisco airport that I came through a day or so ago to get here. But they're largely installed outdoors, and these things are often the size of a city block. They're in Denver, Vancouver, and Porto, Portugal, all over the world. There's a number of these sculptures. And she tells her story on stage about being a struggling artist when she was young, and struggling not only to be a financial success, but also struggling to even find her voice and her medium. And she tried calligraphy, and she tried ceramics, and she tried traditional textiles. And she sort of, the way she tells this story, she sort of had one last sort of big shot. She had an exhibition that was set up in India. She packed up all her stuff and she went out there for this exhibition that she was going to put on. And somehow in transit, all of her materials and work in progress was lost. It's gone. And so there she is, weeks to go before this exhibition. She's got no money. And she's really struggling with how she's going to do this. And she's walking down a beach and she sees fishermen tying fishing nets. And it was that moment, she reports, that inspired her sort of volumetric and fabric-based approach to these incredible sculptures. And it's a great story, and she tells it far better than I do. But just hearing about it and seeing great pictures is not really the same. And so we wanted to bring that to our audience. And so we actually installed one of her sculptures over our party. This is actually the Max Bash, the party we have after the second day. And it took 36 hours to install that thing, 150,000 pounds of rigging, but that entire audience got to see what this thing was like and how it moved and how it interacted with the environment as the sun went down and what happened when the wind blew. And you really get to appreciate what Janet brings to the art that she puts out into the world. That night, there were over 1,000 pictures posted to Instagram of that installation alone. So we think that that is one way to sort of deliver a great experience. We have another signature event, which is our Adobe Summit, the digital marketing conference. This is more on the sort of data and delivering experiences from a different point of view. And this happens every spring. We just had to move from our longtime home of Salt Lake City to Las Vegas a couple of years ago because it outgrew the facilities that we were able to bring together. But this is another great experience that we try to infuse with some Adobe thinking and design, but it's less about creative inspiration, and really it's more about practical skills and about networking and connecting with peers. So we make the show about that. We make it about opportunities to connect, both ad hoc and more formalized ways to network and connect, and then training in every field that's relevant to this digital marketing audience at scale, delivered by great experts in every aspect and detail of how digital experiences and digital marketing comes together today. And it's hands-on. But 12,000 people isn't as much scale as we'd like to achieve. And so we wanted to take it further. So of course we stream the keynote, and that's fine sort of as far as it goes. And a lot of people do watch, and it gives us a great way to extend the value of that content. But it loses something. And just seeing, my apologies to those watching streaming now, it really loses something. You lose the scope, you lose the scale, and you lose the connectedness, more importantly. And so as we were thinking about it, we recognized that the most interesting thing about going to a conference like this is the conversation. It's the thought leadership that happens between your peers and colleagues and the experts in the field. And so we set up something to try and bring that out to the world more broadly and more easily. We set up something called the Adobe Think Tank. And the think tank is literally this transparent stage, this set, where we could host conversations. We have 4 cameras surrounding it to be able to tell a very interesting and dynamic and intimate story. And we have, in this case, we had 23 of our guests, including all of our main stage speakers, come and have conversations and interview and give a more kind of one-to-one type of information and a type of inspiration. We had 10 hours of this streaming content over the 3 days of the show, and 1 out of every 6 social mentions that came out of Summit was about our think tank content. It was a big success for us. Overall, in the couple months since it's happened, we've had 2.5 million streams and live views of this content. So this ended up being a great way to take the thinking and the brain power that was there at that event and really scale it. So that's how we think about designing our event experiences and designing all of our experiences to achieve different goals for our audiences. But something else that we have that I think every company has, it's an enormous asset, is their customers. We embrace them and we bring them into everything that we do. And it's a critical component, in fact, of our marketing strategy at Adobe. So a few years ago, we took the Max brand. So I talked about Max, the creativity conference. We took the actual brand of the show, and we invited 4 different designers to recreate it with sort of no rules other than that the logo form had to stay the same. And this one was done by Leandro Senna, a fantastic type designer out of San Francisco. But we went through this process of searching for amazing artists from all over the world. We find them all on Behance. Behance is our Adobe's online social network for creativity. 10 million, actually more than 10 million artists post tens of thousands of projects every week to get feedback and sort of showcase their work. And it's a fantastic place to discover creatives that you would never find otherwise. So we found Leandro and many others there. And what we do is we invite them in to come and play with us, to figure out how we can build something cool together. In this case, what you can't really tell is that thing on the right, is a 25 by 10 foot physical wall with the Max logo extruded that he and his team painted and designed over the course of a couple of days, and we actually time-lapsed the whole thing, which was a lot of fun. We used that brand everywhere, though. That became the brand of the show. It was on stage, it was on the signage, it was in the emails, it was on our website. The creatives, Leandro and the 3 other artists that we worked with, built or rebuilt our brand for us. And their work got to be seen broadly by their peers. We've taken that philosophy even further. We have worked with artists from all over the world to create the splash screens that go into our actual product. So every time you launch an Adobe product, you end up seeing a new piece of artwork. We have worked with artists from over 100 countries, from all over the place. One of the artists here, the one who did the Photoshop image there, his name is Amr Elshmi, and he is from Cairo, Egypt. And we found him through Behance, and he was the first artist from Egypt that we happened to select. And he became an actual celebrity in his hometown because of his sort of presence in this kind of forum. And he has told us that since this happened, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, he literally gets stopped almost daily for people who want to do selfies with him or have a conversation with him. So we think our community are rock stars, and in many cases, their actual local communities do as well. And I think the other thing that has been really successful for us, we took one more bold step as we were thinking about bringing community into the way we execute our brands. And we've actually asked some of our community to rebuild our corporate brand. So this is Adobe's logo as rebuilt by an interactive artist and filmmaker named G-Monk. And he took the challenge that we gave him to sort of redesign our logo, and he used glass and lasers and lighting and both still and motion photography to do this. And the result is behind me here on this screen. This is the logo that he built. In fact, you've been seeing a bunch of these remix logos as I've gone through this content. And he really put his own personal stamp on this, which was fantastic. And it's what we used. It's what we used on our website. It's what we used in our presentations at our events, in our social channels. We brought these redesigned logos out into the world. In fact, so far, 21 artists have reimagined our Adobe logo for us in their own style, in their own approach, to convey what the brand means to them. They've used all kinds of materials. They've used pencils and sand and balloons and smoke and clockwork and food and once a number of goldfish. I'm told that no goldfish were harmed in the making of that brand, which is a disclaimer you don't often have to give. This is Klebebande, which is an artist collective out of Berlin who created this image on a 20-foot wall, which became our logo for a number of months. And Klebebande's medium is duct tape. Whole thing's built in duct tape and PVC piping. So it's incredible what these folks can do. The 21st and most recent remix that we did was by Hiroyuki Matumi Takahashi, a designer out of Tokyo. And he built this wonderful anime-inspired acrylic and glass sculpture, but he also created a film around the identity, around this design. And his film is about a fictional Japanese office worker who aspires to being an artist at night, and it is this fictional artist who actually created this piece of work. So there's a whole meta story around the logo design. All of this work is available on Behance. It's all there, along with the stories, the behind-the-scenes making of. But this is how we engage with our community. This is how we bring them into making our brand and helping them look like rock stars, because they really are. And I think every brand has rock stars in their community, and they may not get to design in the way that we get to let our community design, but they have amazing stories about success. And whatever your industry is, you have people that you could pull and bring forward to make your story more powerful. Another thing we believe fundamentally at Adobe is that engagement in marketing is the most critical thing. It's how we live and die. is whether or not we can engage with our target audiences. Audience attention is the currency of marketing today. So we wanted to take on the challenge of figuring out how we take something that's not an event, that's more of a sort of social channel, and how do we make it as engaging as we would make a physical event? How do we bring more power and passion to it? How do we scale it? So this is what our Creative Cloud YouTube channel looked like last year. And it was sort of fine as far as it went. It was a very one-way sort of communication channel. It was sort of a dumping ground for content. Kind of everything we made just sort of got thrown up there. There was no curation. There was no storytelling. And our audience growth for this had completely stalled out. Engagement was low. So we wanted to jumpstart this. And what we did was we applied some of the principles that we've been talking about. Working with our one fantastic social team at Adobe, we built out a better destination. We applied some design thinking. We made it more compelling. We built content that would be kind of recurring and have more value to our users. In fact, we brought the community into the story here. We launched a series that happens every week of kind of 20-minute talk show format interviews with interesting members of our Adobe community, because that's who our audience wants to hear from. They want to hear from other users like them. They don't want to hear from Adobe. And we've even built new types of content, in this case, new types of training content, to help our users get their arms around all of the complexity and all the opportunity with Adobe's products. We designed it to be consumable and much more user-friendly, and it fits in the modern attention span, because all of these videos are less than a minute long. And we tested it, and we tested it endlessly to understand what people liked and didn't like, and did they understand it, and was it adding value? And that's how we refreshed sort of the content that we put onto this new YouTube portal for Creative Cloud. So in the first quarter since we've launched this, we've doubled the number of views while actually reducing the number of videos that we post, which is really a story about a testament to focus and curation, and really thinking about what the audience wants and not just putting everything in there. And actually the view time on the videos on the channel has increased by 4x. And that's kind of remarkable given that a lot of the videos are 60 seconds long or less. But the thing that I think is most powerful is that our positive engagements with this site have grown by 5 times. So we have more likes and positive comments and shares on this content than we've ever had on this channel historically. So great experiences thrive on data. It's impossible to talk about great experiences without talking about data. And I mentioned Adobe's at the intersection of content and data. And we are data-driven marketers, first and foremost, but we love great design more than anybody else. And we don't see those things being in conflict at all. As a matter of fact, the way that we think about our data is that it's really the voice of the customer coming through in everything we do. It's not just an abstract input, it's how you listen to your customers. In digital environments, we do lots and lots of testing. We test and optimize to really learn what our customers are interested in. And there's a very strong signal if you structure this right. In the last few years, we've grown the number of tests that we launch at Adobe by 10x. We do over 100 tests a quarter on Adobe.com alone to figure out how to deliver better experiences, because that's what it's all about. And there are a lot of different benefits of that. There are commerce benefits. In that time, actually just in the last year, we've seen a 49% increase in our commerce conversion capabilities on Adobe.com, which is great because we've been doing this for a while and the benefits keep coming. But it's harder to optimize for customer satisfaction and for customer success through these digital channels, but that's what we've been focused on doing. And we had to do a lot of work, and it required stitching together a lot of data and really pushing the Adobe Experience Cloud tools to their limits to make these experiences work right and to be able to understand what's coming back from our customers. We had to stitch a lot of data together. We had to build out models to understand user propensity. We had a lot of data scientists working on these kind of projects inside Adobe. And we activated more surfaces. We realized that our customers don't only interact through the web, just like your customers don't only interact with your companies through an event. It's cross-surface. How do you make those experiences relevant and seamless and connected across all of those surfaces? We tested all kinds of things. We tested customizing content to skill level. We started asking people when they go to download a product, what's your skill level? And based on what they answer, we deliver content that is relevant to that particular skill level and that particular product. And that got us 42% increase in repeat usage, giving people little bites of success. We went to more of a project-based learning kind of approach with our training and learning content, which has increased our engagement. It's more than doubled the engagement with that content because people want to learn, but they also want to accomplish something. It's not just how do I use this feature or function, it's how do I do something? How do I make a t-shirt, design a logo, build a website? And we couldn't just do it on the website. We had to do it in the software. We had to do it on the desktop, on mobile, through email, through our social channels. Line up all those identities so that we know where our customers are in their journey with us. And the thing that I can say about all of the testing that we've done is every test opens up the possibility for 10 more tests. It always raises new questions. So there's a long roadmap at Adobe of all of the things that we want to test and learn. And it's great for continuous employment for testers on our teams. The final thing that I wanted to talk about is culture. In order to truly transform the way your teams do marketing, the culture has to be incredibly customer-centric. Without every employee's commitment to delivering that great experience, it's not going to be successful. We've done a number of things at Adobe to really highlight customer experiences. And this is not just marketing. This is beyond marketing. This is across the entire company. Here are some of the things that we've done. We started broadcasting customer experience issues, problems, internally. This used to be the province only of our customer support teams. But now we talk about our customers' top challenges at every internal all hands. We publish a list of them on our intranet. We make it possible for every customer, every employee in the company to listen in on customer support calls so they know the kinds of challenges that our customers are having. This kind of transparency around what's working and not working for our customers gives the entire company a heightened sense of awareness of what's really going on out in that world. You're not often there to really see and experience that. Another thing we did is we mapped rewards, our employees' bonuses, to customer satisfaction. It used to be that our rewards were between an employee and their manager, and it was about their particular job and their particular function. But what we do now is every employee in the company, top to bottom, has a goal that drives their rewards that's based on customer satisfaction and the quality of customer experience that we deliver. And the third thing that we do is we make sure that all of our employees can experience what it's like to be a customer. We train our employees in all of our tools. We offer training. We host things called Experience-a-thons, which are kind of like hackathons, but way harder to pronounce. But what these are is where we get 100 or a couple hundred employees all together simultaneously, and we go through some of the experiences that our customers go through, signing up, changing an account, engaging with Adobe in some way so that we can find all the rough edges and learn how different types of people think about those experiences so that we can streamline them. It's been a complete transformation of our culture internally to really being customer first. So to wrap up, 3 sort of takeaways. One is keep the mission in mind. Delivering great experiences is never easy, and it is absolutely something that we need to focus on, everybody in this room, everybody in marketing and beyond. Listening to the customers and making sure that we put their needs first. 2, it takes the whole team. Everybody, every function, from design to digital, from project managers to publicists. Events are a fantastic way to engage with customers, but concentric circles out from that. It takes everybody. And 3, get comfortable with the fact that you're never done. There is no end destination at this journey, only a next target and a next horizon. Every one of these activities fuels growth and impact, and that brings more customers, and then you have to listen to those customers and try and solve their problems. It's a virtuous cycle, but it is an ongoing cycle. That's how we think about the transformation that we've undergone at Adobe and continue to undergo, because this remains the mission, not just for marketers at Adobe, but for marketers at every company. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Thank you very much to the Experiential Marketing team for giving me this time with you. I hope you have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you.
Unbelievable keynote. Thank you so much, Alex. Folks, the breakout's start in a few minutes. Have a wonderful afternoon, and one more round of applause for our keynote speaker.
Great.